Good afternoon. I hope things are going well for you on this Thursday. The time now is 12:30. I'm Julie Broughton. This is News 6 Extra. We're so happy you're spending a little bit of time with us on this Thursday afternoon for your news and weather update. Now, in the weather department, we are tracking a whole lot of heat rolling our way. In fact, by this weekend, it will be feeling like triple-digit temperatures just about everywhere. And along with the heat, the rain chances are going way down. So we'll break all of that down for you. Coming up in just a few minutes. Also, you'll want to stick around. We have a really interesting story from News 6 reporter Stephanie Rodriguez. She will tell us how AI is being used to catch students who are cheating using AI. So it involves a whole lot of AI. So interesting take there. So we'll get to that in just a few minutes. But first, if you've been with us this week, you know we have been hitting the road all week to Claremont, shining the light on some really great things about Claremont, and also highlighting problems that you reached out asking us to look into. And it turns out that they have a problem with potholes there. And so the city has taken a pretty unique approach to letting people report those potholes and complain about potholes. Now, it turns out that the city is only responsible for about a fourth of those potholes. And News 6 anchor Matt Austin shows us the way leaders have created an interactive way to get results.
Okay, so this is whose road is it anyway? Do you think you can pass this test?
I'll try.
Are you from Claremont?
Yes.
Don't be scared. Say you had a problem with Citrus Tower Boulevard, there was a pothole. Who would you call? Three options. You have county, city, and state.
What kind of problem we talking?
Say like a pothole, or you just wanted to complain about
I call Claremont.
You called Claremont for that. This is actually county.
City?
Nope, you'd have to go county for that one.
I want to say city, but I feel like it's county.
Which one are you going with?
Maybe county.
You got it right! Ding, 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 ding. Okay, good job. You're the first person to get that right. If you go through that light, just a few more feet, who would you call if you had a problem there on Grant?
City?
You got that one. That was a lucky guess. I felt like you were guessing.
Yep.
Who would you think you'd call for that one?
Claremont?
Yes, you got it. Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
Okay.
Who do you think?
Is it still county?
No.
Wait.
No.
Why?
Now it turns into city. I don't know.
Okay, that's weird.
US 27, right here. Who would you call if you had a problem with that?
County.
State.
State, really?
Who would you call if you had a problem on US 27?
I don't know. Police?
You seem bewildered. Just call the police, help me out. So that one is state. So there's three different, all in the same intersection. And then US 27 right here.
State.
Okay, so you got 2 out of the 3.
See, I'm not bad. Good.
Yeah, nice work, nice work.
See?
Okay, you know whose road it is.
So you get a high five for that?
Yeah, you definitely get a high five. So, do all these wrong answers surprise Claremont City Manager?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all.
Interim City Manager Rick Van Wagner tells me there are about 400 miles of paved roads in Claremont, and the city only owns about 100 of those miles. Yet almost all the calls come to the city.
I don't have a calculated number, but it would be in multiple departments that were getting calls on a regular basis, so it would come from all over the community, people calling.
So in 2023, city staff developed a road ownership map they call Whose Road Is It Anyway? It's color-coded, and when you click on a road like Citrus Tower Boulevard, it tells you who owns it and gives you the number to call.
And so this gave some clarity to our citizens to understand what's state-owned, what's county-owned, what's city-owned, and what's a private road.
Is the most interesting take on potholes and roads I've ever seen. So like a fun new game show. As we continue our coverage from Claremont, News 6 anchor Eric Von Aken brings us his Protecting Our Community segment every week. And this week, he takes us to the Claremont Police Department to show us how they are making an investment in protecting their officers by increasing training in the use of ballistic shields. Eric shows us how, after an attack on a group of officers, highlighted the importance of this tool.
The police chief tells me this was a really odd call. There was nothing urgent about it, at least in the beginning. He says a neighbor reported a woman running around a car, running away from a man screaming at her, but still no threat of violence. And he says it wasn't until they got up to the front door that they discovered blood and shell casings, bullet casings. They also never expected on the other side of this door that a woman would be laying there dead. And they certainly never expected what was about to happen at the top of the staircase.
Clock. Ready? 1, 2.
Chief?
By far one of the most intense videos I've ever watched in my career. Thankful none of my officers were hurt that day.
months later, this still clearly gets you.
Yes, sir. I have a personal connection with many of the officers in our agency, being here for 20 years.
This is newly appointed interim police chief John Graysick, who was the former deputy chief. Chief, you were on scene nearby as the incident commander at the time that this was unfolding.
That's correct. I was the incident commander for this event.
Yeah, watch that stairwell. It's open. Claremont police!
So normally people watching this might think this is a job for the SWAT team.
Correct.
But you couldn't wait because you had a guy that you had evidence of firing a weapon and a woman injured.
They had to devise a game plan.
Come out the back, come out the back.
Has there been anything that you said that this was on point, or maybe we could have done better?
Could we have done some things differently? Absolutely. You could always go back and critique an incident, but I would never take anything away from the 6 men who entered that residence on that day and acted heroically.
One thing that came out of the video was the shields that you saw the officers holding. Every single supervisor here at the police department has one of these in their patrol cars, and now the Claremont PD is investing in training, specific training to use this.
We'll be sending additional personnel to become ballistic shield instructors in the future. The value of the shield is irreplaceable when you think about what could happen to your personnel without a shield or without a vest.
And what may have that day.
Could be a completely different story without the shield.
After the shots were fired, the 6 officers then came back outside and waited here in the parking lot for the SWAT team to show up. But by the time they did, it was long over. They found the guy inside dead. He had killed himself. In Claremont, Eric Von Aken, News 6.
And our live coverage from Claremont continues all day today. We'll have our afternoon newscast with Matt Austin live from Claremont starting at 4 o'clock, so we hope you will tune in then. Now, we've talked a lot over the last few months about the federal government looking to cut spending, and the latest program on the chopping block is the popular Energy Star program. CBS's Nancy Chen tells us the EPA-run program saves qualifying American households hundreds of dollars each year.
With all the cuts the Trump administration is making to government agencies, the EPA is now proposing to end the Energy Star program. So even if you don't know the program, you've likely seen that Energy Star label on refrigerators, air conditioners, washing machines, even buildings. So here's how the program works. Companies can enroll, and if their product meets EPA efficiency standards, they can display the logo. It's an easy way for buyers to know they're going to save money on energy costs. And they have saved. Since it launched more than 3 decades ago, Energy Star has helped Americans cut back on 5 trillion kilowatt hours of energy. That is the equivalent of powering New York City for 100 years, a whole century. It also saves the average household about $450 every year. The program has had widespread bipartisan support and calls itself one of the most successful voluntary U.S. government programs in history. President Trump tried to kill this program in his first term, but that effort failed after more than 1,000 companies protested. Similarly, this time, hundreds of companies like Samsung and National Grid have signed a letter in support of Energy Star. It's unclear whether the program, though, can be ended without a new act from Congress. Nancy Chen, CBS News, New York.
We are going to take a short break, and when we get back, we will talk about your weekend forecast. I will tell you temperatures are going to soar into the mid-90s for highs for the next several days. And also, we'll check in with News 6 morning anchor and insider guide Crystal Moyer. If you're looking for something to do this weekend, she'll show you what you could find at the Cape Canaveral Lighthouse. Stay with us. We're back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to News 6 Extra. The time now is 12:41. Thank you so much for sticking around and spending some time with us today. We'll check in with Stephanie Rodriguez in just a few minutes, and she'll tell us how educators are using AI to catch students who are cheating using AI. So, big problem now these days. And we'll also have a check of your forecast, which is going to really heat up as we head into the weekend. But first, let's check in with News 6 Morning Anchor and Insider Guide Crystal Moyer.
It's a building that can be spotted for miles. I'm News 6 anchor and insider guide Crystal Moyer, and I'm giving you an insider look at this more than 150-year-old lighthouse in Cape Canaveral.
The original lighthouse was constructed off the coast of Cape Canaveral in 1848 to warn ships of dangerous sandbanks. We're talking about this one. Cape Canaveral Lighthouse Foundation President Ronald Ecker says there was a problem with it, though.
They blew up the original one because it was too short. The light only shot out maybe 6 to 8 miles, so there's shipwrecks.
A new tower was built in 1868 made of cast iron and painted with black and white stripes. Museum director Becky Zingarelli says there was still an issue.
They thought erosion was going to destroy the lighthouse. So it was taken apart in pieces and moved over here.
Like a puzzle, the lighthouse was rebuilt in 1894, further inland, standing at 151 feet tall. Just right. And it still stands today as a working lighthouse.
Back in the 1920s, this was a thriving community. And after the Second World War, it became a military base.
Taking a look inside, there's a kitchen and pantry, along with the dining room where Mills Alcott Burnham sits. He was the head lighthouse keeper from 1853 to 1886.
And if you're wondering, there's 176 steps, 10 floors to get to the top.
The higher up, the more narrow the rooms become. Visitors aren't typically allowed to climb to the top, but we got exclusive access, and it was a breathtaking view of the Cape.
Normally it's nice breeze plus the sight. The scenic view you cannot beat.
This lighthouse is owned by the U.S. Space Force and managed by the Cape Canaveral Lighthouse Foundation with more than 200 volunteers.
This lighthouse is located on Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, but there are ways that the public can come get a tour. I posted details in the article on clickorlando.com/insider. From Brevard County, Crystal Moyer, News 6.
Looks absolutely beautiful. Now, advancements in AI technology have come a long way in recent years and really help a lot of us do our work more efficiently. However, students have found a way to use that technology to sometimes cheat on their schoolwork. News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez tells us how educators are using that same technology to catch students in the act.
For students, a charge of plagiarism can mean a failing grade or, depending on the school, even expulsion. But as technology advances and AI gets easier to use, it's also getting harder to detect, which can be a problem from everyone involved.
Type in a few key words and sit back. The problem for students is when they're accused of turning in what AI created.
We get calls every single day from students accused of academic integrity violations associated with AI.
Attorneys Susan Stone and Christina Supler are the co-chairs of the Student and Athlete Defense Practice Group, focusing on helping students when accused of cheating using AI.
What we're seeing in our law practice is this inherent tension between students and oftentimes professors on what is responsible and ethical use of AI.
Establishing where the line is drawn can be difficult. While programs like Grammarly help with phrasing, spelling, and punctuation, other programs can go much further. ChatGPT can, in a matter of seconds, create everything from a few sentences to a full paper. Complicating things further, many of the systems used to check for plagiarism themselves rely on AI.
We're seeing so many instances in which a paper, an essay, you name it, is flagged by an AI detection tool used by a professor. And then after that, there's no dialogue between the professor and the student about what happened, what'd you do, what didn't you do.
One thing some schools have considered going back to is this: a notepad and a pen or a pencil. Now, if you're accused of using AI for your work, experts recommend using a service like Google Docs to take notes and to have all of your information for your writing in there to prove that it is original work, if you do have to prove that. Reporting in the newsroom, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
It's time to get a check of your forecast now, and the big story is going to be the heat as we move through the next several days. Along with the temperatures going up, that chance of rain is going down. We were really wet last week, even to the beginning of this week, but we've seen a pattern shift. So this is what the radar looks like for you right now as we are sweeping out. No showers to track, and really as we move through the next several days, those rain chances are going to stay low. Now, because of the rain we picked up last week and certainly Sunday into Monday, even into Tuesday a little bit, we've seen a big improvement in those drought numbers. Here's a comparison last week to this week. So these are the numbers that come out every Thursday from the USDA. They come out at 8 o'clock in the morning on Thursdays. And last week, you see all those areas of red. That shows us where we were in extreme drought. Now, some spots across Central Florida picked up close to 8 inches of rain. So you can see that those areas that were extreme are still severe. So still problematic drought conditions, but a big improvement. However, I imagine by this time next week, we will see those numbers creeping back up as we are going to keep it really dry for the next several days. Satellite and radar imagery showing we're seeing a few fair weather clouds floating through, but those clouds won't be able to produce any rain for us. So taking you through the rest of the afternoon and into the evening hours, we'll keep it mostly dry and really expect a lot of sunshine throughout the day. There's the clouds and rain forecast as we start the clock for you at noon, rolling through the afternoon hours. A few more clouds floating through, stopping the clock at 6 o'clock, looking good. And then we keep it mostly clear as we head into your evening, 8 o'clock, no issues out there. Now for our temperatures right now, most of us are sitting in the 80s, so already really toasty out there. But look at that, the Villages, you are already checking in at 90 degrees. It is 86 in Kissimmee, 87 in Melbourne, and 84 right now in Palm Coast. We'll go to a high today of 94 in Orlando. Normal high this time of year is 88, so we are well above that for our interior spots. 94 in the Villages and 95 for the high today in Lakeland. Right now, we are seeing a sea breeze setting up, so that will provide a little bit of a relief along the coast with temperatures a few degrees cooler, but westerly winds will keep the rest of us climbing into the mid-90s. Here's a look at your heat index forecast as we take you into the afternoon tomorrow. It will feel like the mid to upper 90s. And then even on Saturday, we're talking about some spots feeling close to 100 degrees as we take you into the afternoon hours for those heat index numbers, topping out 98 for your heat index on Saturday afternoon. Here's how it looks for you for the next 7 days. We go to 96 on Saturday, 98 on Sunday, and look at that, even Monday and Tuesday, we are talking about mid to upper 90s. This could be the warmest stretch we have seen in several years. Overnight lows falling back into the low 70s, and we will be nearing record territory as we head into the weekend. We'll talk much more about your full forecast coming up for you starting on News 6 at 4. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today on News 6 Extra. We certainly do appreciate it, and I will see you back here at 4.